We all suspected it, we thought it was happening, and it's happened. So, Concord is shutting down. It lasted less than 2 weeks. It is officially a game that you can no longer purchase. This project that took up 8 years of different people's lives, plus its entire budget, has disappeared. And it will only live on through the memory of those of us who played it. Now, I already said that with these player numbers, it was just not something that was viable anymore. But a lot of people said that Sony would keep it up. They didn't care if it was ethical or not to sell a game that was becoming unplayable. But to their credit, at least they took it down. As Sony reports on the PlayStation blog, an important update on Concord. Sony first thanks people. Your support and passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game in our initial launch didn't land the way we intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. They specify the different ways that you can receive your refund, and they mention that they'll keep you updated, and they thank you again to all the free gunners who have joined us in the Concord galaxy. So I would like to remind you that while we've seen similar failures, the Culling 2, Sega's Hyenas, which never even existed, kind of, and it was never released to the public, those projects were not of this scale. They were not something that a company like Sony, which traditionally likes to be very protective of their seal of quality, especially, when releasing first-party projects. And for Sony, this entire situation, specifically the idea of their live services and releasing on Steam, and their whole idea of forcing people on Steam to integrate into PlayStation Network and all of these things, that's where the scale of this disaster really shows up. This was a massive project. The amount of time and effort that was invested into this, the amount of money versus what came out of it, is really something that, we need to talk about it, and it needs to be taught in schools for the next 100 years. Not even just games, just business in general, because it is that big in the impact that it has on the brand of Sony, on what they're willing to invest in, on the confidence level that people have on the games that Sony backs, which I'm not saying that mad at Sony or something, or that I want them to fail. Every single big publisher and developer has had massive flops before. It's just that they've never been this big proportional to what they were doing. I said it in my last video, think about this for a second. If this game had been pressed onto physical copies, there would be a landfill bigger than E.T. for where those discs would be headed to right now. I hope that helps contextualize how massive this failure is. And I really do think that there's a very valuable lesson to be learned here. You should listen to your customers. Your customers want to buy your games, especially for a company like Sony, which has a very dedicated fan base that is very much willing to trust them and to purchase the products that they decide to make. Sometimes in a very overly forgiving fashion, they're willing to put down money to support the company. There is a strong brand loyalty there. If your customers come to you and say, this isn't good enough, you should listen. And of course, there's going to be extreme opinions out there, but this was an overwhelming amount of people criticizing this game for just as many possible factors as you could imagine. From every angle, people were criticizing this game. I have multiple videos. I made a video the day after Concord was revealed, saying that it was a huge mistake, that Sony needed to learn from this immediately and start changing things around, because they had fundamentally misunderstood the market and they were chasing a trend that they were too late for. Not only that, but they had revealed it in the worst way possible that made a lot of people feel duped, because people got excited for something that in the end, when they actually showed the gameplay, they were like, oh no, it's Overwatch. And after that, not only did a ton of people share that same opinion in their own ways out there, but I was one of the apparently very few people, not content creators, not people who make YouTube videos, one of the few people, period, who played the beta for Concord. And most, if not all of us who played it, came out with very similar opinions that it wasn't ready. There were fundamental things missing, and it just didn't really have a shot in the market. Even the people who had the best opinions of Concord from the beta kept saying, this should be a beta and not the glorified demo that it is, because it feels like a beta, not like a demo, but your game is launching in like a month and a half. So bad. This looks bad. So there were dozens, if not 100+ people that are content creators making videos, explaining things about the game, explaining why we don't like it, explaining why other people don't like it. There's plenty of discourse. And while some people from the start wanted to clown on Concord, that is not what I do on this channel. I don't clown on stuff. On this channel, what I want is for games to be the best that they can be and for people to enjoy games and have a great time. Because, life is hard out there, and whatever you find in video games, I want you to find more of it and be happy. And what I want for the people making games is for them to make great games that make people happy. That's how the whole system works. You make a great thing that people want to buy, they buy it, so you get money, you can continue to make great stuff that makes people happy, and everybody just plays their games. And there are plenty of other people who share that same philosophy, and we played Concord, and we had very detailed breakdowns of what we did not enjoy, of what we thought was missing, of what was misguided about the game. We went very in-depth on what parts needed to be changed and why. And not to mention that a lot of the criticism that was pointed at this game was incredibly obvious. Like even accepting, your game is super, super late to the party, but let's assume that we're stuck with what we have. You still need like a core game mode that makes sense. You still need for the characters to like have personalities. It should be illegal that I play this game for 20 hours and I don't know anything about these characters. I don't know where they are. I don't know who they are. And to paraphrase the entire film franchise that you decided to copy for your aesthetic, I don't know why they are. The only mode that's supposed to be different, which is Rivalry, is overly complex and has a system that seems ripe for pay to win and further monetization in a game that's being sold with a $40 price tag. And by the way, remove that $40 price tag or this is dead in the water. And they refuse to budge or even acknowledge. They did not even acknowledge. They really did not say anything to beta feedback. We heard zero from them. And to top it all off, the few things that we heard were things like that one ex-employee of the company lashing out like a little baby and calling the people who didn't like the game talentless freaks, which is unacceptable in any circumstance, like generally speaking. But I always take it just a slightly bit more personal because I'm one of the people out here on YouTube that really has like the best intentions at heart when I give in-depth feedback to people, when I say what's wrong with something. So to hear somebody say, not just to the people who are mean or whatever, which, get over yourself, but even to the people that most genuinely have their best interests at heart, to hear even them being called talentless freaks, what did you expect was going to happen, man? It is just from top to bottom a lesson in how to make a horrible product that does not understand how to exist and that was continuously given chances by people who wanted to actually see it succeed, who wanted it to have a chance, who with the best intentions at heart gave them the feedback necessary, push it back, make it free to play, change this, and this, to have them ignore it and to see them crash and burn. That for as much as I really want to have empathy for them, I can't help but feel like they dug their own grave the more and more I think about it. Now, where do we go from here, though? Well, we don't know. We don't know if this is just going to disappear forever. We don't know if they're going to rework it into free-to-play and do the things I've mentioned before, which are find that core game mode, or rework the designs and make them not ugly, better integrate the personalities of the characters so that they talk to each other and they do things in matches and they better communicate who the characters are instead of forcing people to sit down and watch stupid cutscenes every week that nobody wanted to watch. Copy the things that have been done well before and then add their little twist to it and hope that the solid and slightly different gameplay, the Destiny 2 PvP flavor that it brings to hero shooters, is enough to have it find a player base that somehow will stick around and will invest in the monetization of it and maybe make back some of its money, or at least not bleed more, or just sweep the whole thing under the rug and never talk about it again. what happens from there to the developers, to the studio that Sony bought that was making this game. Will they be laid off? Will they be moved to a different project? Will they be reassigned to other first-party studios? What's going to happen with them? We don't know. But you can bet from my side, now, for real, there is no other thing to talk about Concord. I'm not going to be talking about it anymore. Until, if I can dig up some real information on this game, I would be fascinated with later down the line, very busy season, got some reviews going on right now that Concord has very much interrupted. If I can dig up some information, I would love to do like a big scripted video on just every single point of failure and everything that Concord did wrong and some of the inside stories of how this happened. Because it is truly a fascinating tale, which on one hand, we've had our fun with it, but I'm happy that it's come to an end. I am done with this. What a disaster. Please, please, please learn from this failure. I don't like seeing a bunch of effort wasted, because all of the effort and expertise and money that went into this game could have gone to something that everybody would have loved to play. Be it Sony or anybody else, please learn from that. By the way, make sure you hit the like button if you like the video. I've got a lot of reviews and a lot of retrospectives and projects coming up real soon in the next 2 weeks that I'm really excited about. Very busy period. If you're wondering if the channel that criticized Concord and gave them very detailed feedback that was ignored got review code for Astrobot, no, I did not. So that review won't be coming out. Maybe later. But we've got some cool stuff happening on the channel. Thank you all for watching. Thanks all of you who have followed this Concord saga with me. It's been a wild ride. If you want to stick around, check out the channel, hit the subscribe button. It helps a ton. And a very special thanks to my patrons up on the $1 patron wall. It's called that way because there's only one tier, $1. More info on that in the description below. I've been Mugthief. It's been a huge pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you again very soon.